In movie theaters or on billboards, you've likely seen ads for Primavera Online Charter School. And as a taxpayer, you paid for those ads. Welcome back to 12 News at 4.
It's a story that you'll only see right here on 12 News. Investigative reporter Craig Harris finds Primavera School has become a gold mine for its founder, while students are at the bottom of the learning curve.
Beside me on this busy road in Chandler is the headquarters for Primavera Online Charter Schools. Academically, it's one of the worst schools in the state, according to state records. And while students here were putting out bad test scores the past 8 years, founder Damian Kramer was making millions. The charter school boasts a world-class curriculum.
From grade school to graduate,
where kids can work at their own pace.
I had this vision when I started this 20 years ago, and I wanted to be involved in a space where I was adding value to my community.
Damian Kramer is Primavera's founder. He started the school in 2001 with just 35 students. Now, it's home to about 19,000. In 2020, AZ Big Media recognized him as a business leader to watch.
We really feel like we are adding value to our community, making sure that the children in the community are getting a really superior product, a superior education.
Primavera students are mostly those who have dropped out or are at risk, and it claims it's one of the most successful online high schools in the country. But the 12 News I-Team found most students actually are falling behind the curve. The State Board of Education, which grades all public schools in Arizona, has given Primavera letter grades of D the past 3 years. State rules show that should trigger an F rating, the very worst for a public school in Arizona. But the State Board of Education said that didn't happen because of the pandemic. Now that we are post-COVID, the board said in a statement, the policy applies to school letter grades starting with 2022-2023. Thus, Primavera has 2 Ds that are currently applicable. The State Charter Board has also ranked Primavera as one of the worst performing charters in the state. Falls far below standards 4 times since 2017. All the while, the company raked in millions of dollars for public school funding.
It doesn't sound fair, but it's legal. It's so tempting because you can just do it. And as I keep saying, it's legal.
That's Kurt Cardine. He's written textbooks on charter schools and is a researcher with the Grand Canyon Institute, a small nonprofit organization that's been a watchdog on school funding in Arizona since 2011. Cardine said despite the failing metrics, Primavera attracts students and the state dollars that follow them through aggressive marketing.
You know, they blanket the whole valley with their ads. It's telling me that money's getting spent there instead of someplace else, like on teachers and really working with the kids.
State law allows privately owned but publicly funded charter school operators to make as much money as they can, and Primavera records show the online-only school received nearly $80 million last year from the state.
Way too much is being made in profits compared to what the outcomes are.
And the I-Team found out how it spent that money, with just a fraction going to pay teachers.
At Primavera, high schoolers get unlimited private tutoring that's online and free.
Last year, Primavera spent more than $6 million on advertising.
It's not too late to choose Primavera Online.
And spent nearly 2/3 of the taxpayer money, $54 million, paying its management company, StrongMind. StrongMind owns Primavera and develops the digital curriculum. It's headquartered right next door to Primavera and has just one owner. That's Damian Kramer. Records show since 2017, Primavera paid Kramer and StrongMind another $24 million in dividends and shareholder distributions from the profits the school has made. I'm Craig Harris with 12 News. We're looking for Damian Kramer. Is he available?
Damian Kramer?
Yeah, the founder. Kramer didn't agree to an interview, so we tried to talk to him at his office.
He works by appointment.
Okay.
Did he know you guys were?
No, we've been trying to call him. We were told to go next door to StrongMind. Is Damian Kramer here? No, he doesn't work here. Damian Kramer doesn't work here? While we couldn't find Kramer, we did find where he spent some of his cash. Right here at the state capitol, where Kramer is one of the largest donors to Republicans who control the legislature, over $90,000 to Republican candidates since 2017, many of whom voted to allow online charter schools like Primavera to rake in that much cash, passing laws that allowed Kramer to make millions, like giving nearly the same per pupil funding to online charters as traditional brick and mortar public schools, and exempting charter schools from conflict of interest laws. David Wells, who runs the Grand Canyon Institute, says it's time to make a change.
It's not worth the money. I mean, it's a waste of state taxpayer dollars, and it needs to be remedied.
We asked for interviews with Senate President Warren Peterson and House Speaker Steve Montenegro. Both declined. But the state isn't the only source of money for Primavera. The I-Team found Primavera applied for and received a $2.2 million federal COVID loan in April 2020, even though it lost no public funds during the pandemic. That loan was forgiven the following year, going straight to Primavera's bottom line. Then records show in August 2022, Kramer used another company to buy this $6.1 million Paradise Valley home in cash. But we couldn't reach him there either. Okay. Yeah. I want to point out that the Department of Education told me that improvement specialists have been sent to Primavera because of its D ratings, but there's nothing in state law that compels the school to implement any of the improvement plans that the state wants them to do.
So what if they end up with an F? What happens then?
Well, supposedly they're supposed to be shut down. But the charter board will look at tomorrow what they're going to do and whether they can shut them down. They can put them under a management agreement. They can maybe have even a receiver come over and take control of them. Tonight at 6, we're going to talk about what we asked Governor Hobbs, what she thought about it. And there's also a very important person who won't be going to that state charter board meeting tomorrow because he said he just doesn't have time and he's given his vote to somebody else.
All right, you can tell us who?
Tom Horne.
Okay, who runs our education system. So, in fairness, though, doesn't Primavera generally market to non-traditional students? Like we used to call them alternative schools or things like that. Is that the case or no?
Well, that's true.
So that would bring, I mean, theoretically could bring grades down.
Theoretically, it could bring the grades down, but also they're only spending a small portion on teachers. They're shoveling a $60-some million to the parent company, which could be used to help the kids. Yeah, there are at-risk kids, but a lot of the money just isn't going towards those kids is what we found.
And they spend more money on their parent company than most other charter schools do? I mean, are those metrics in line with like an ALA or other big charter schools in the Valley?
Well, most other charter schools spend, like what we reported last week, Joe Dana reported last week, that charter schools in the main spend about twice as much on administration as district schools, but nowhere close to what Primavera does. I mean, they are sending tens of millions of dollars to their parent company, where no other charter school that I've been able to find does the same thing.
And still no word from the founder.
No word from the founder. He said he's going to go to the charter board meeting tomorrow. He sent a letter out to his teachers. One of the teachers read it to me. And she also wanted to make clear that even though the state records showed that teachers got a big raise this year, not all of them did. So she says even those numbers aren't quite aligned right with what reality happened to experienced teachers.
Well, maybe you can get a hold of them at the meeting tomorrow.
Well, we'll do.
Craig, thank you.
Thanks.